if you want to support the show, any of the shows, either this or whichever show, I'm not on right now because this is just a blanket ad for all of them, and the website, you can go to bewareofspoilers.com. In the description for any of the episodes of Beware of Spoilers, there is the option to donate. If you don't want to donate that way, you can donate directly through the website. We do have that, mwpnews.com. And if you don't want to support that way, then going to mwpnews.com will help out because we have ads there. We don't want to keep it, where there's a lot of ads. There's a few ads. But the point is we want to make it so that way, we can sustain this for the long term. If people donate, we're never going to paywall anything, I don't think, as of right now. But if people start donating, we'll start doing cooler and cooler stuff. Like donations are how we get to cover stuff like Tribeca and other, film festivals. And, we may be able to bring on more people to help out. So if you want to help out the show and you want more content from us, by all means, even just going and giving us a 5-star rating on Spotify helps out a lot. But that's it. That's the only ad we'll have on the podcast ever. But here's whatever podcast you're going to be listening to. Good evening, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I forgot to record this morning. That's on me. Let me rephrase. I didn't forget to record this morning. That implies that I had watched the episode that I was supposed to. I forgot to watch the episode last night. Unfortunately, I was tethered to my desk at work all day, so while I was doing the mindless, nonsense that I was doing, I was able to have my phone up and I was able to watch the finale of X-Men 97. And now that X-Men 97 has come to an end, I think it's safe to say this should be the new standard. That Marvel television, Marvel animation, whatever we're doing this now, whatever this is the standard they should be aiming for from here on out. I don't know if they're going to be able to. First of all, I think it's a very hard standard to hit every time. Let alone a hard standard to achieve, and they haven't until now. So I think there's certainly like this, like the way they managed to balance so much going on, especially in a show that, I think to an extent, they had to have known that, not everyone watching this has watched the original show, because, I've seen one episode and assorted clips from the original X-Men 97 run back in, not X-Men 97, X-Men the Animated Series, which I think, 92 to 98, I want to say, is what it ran. Because, just keep in mind, I was born in 94. I was not born when this show originally debuted. I was not alive for another 2 years after that. And to that end, I'll eventually get around to watching more of it, but because I did really enjoy this, and what I did watch of the original show I also enjoyed. But the way they balance, you don't need to go in as the biggest X-Men fan. You don't need to go in as even a fan of the live action movies by Fox. It's just, we're going to take these characters, we're going to establish what they are, and then, going forward, this is how we're going to handle it. And it's to the point where I watch this, and I'm like, I don't know how Marvel Studios competes with themselves on this. I don't know how Marvel Studios looks at this and goes, we have to, when we do the live-action X-Men movies, which are an inevitability, how do we compete with this? Because this is just so well handled. And I think the thing is, too, the other little shadowy part of this is the fact that the guy who ran the show, Bo DeMeo, had to have been up to some really fugazi shit behind the scenes to get fired amid this near unanimous praise for this show beyond just having an OnlyFans account, which is what the initial report was. But I would assume there's more than that, and I assume we're going to hear about it in the coming weeks. But I don't think Marvel wants to taint this show's run. And I would be surprised, like, considering Season 2 is done, and we'll talk about how this season ends off, but considering that Season 2 is done and out, like, or will be out in reasonably short order, I think there's a, you know, what's I looking for here? There's that, like, they wait until that's done. I love the dynamics of all the characters. I love that they mature up the way they handle it. They don't treat it like it's something for kids. And, you know, we talk a lot about the idea that, like, you know, the idea of something being for kids compared to being for adults has gotten worse in recent years, where it's like there's, like, weirdly, in a post-adventure time and Steven Universe world, the divide has gotten worse, which is a weird thing to say, because you would think that, like, these shows that kind of had these huge fan bases on both sides of that age gap or dividing line, you would think that would be something where it's like, well, let's try to, you know, replicate that, but it seems more and more like that's not the case. And this kind of does a great job of, you know, existing in both worlds in an interesting way. The finale, though. The finale is just such a great summation of what it is that makes the X-Men great as entities within Marvel. Like, because here's the thing, is that it's like, look, I'm watching this episode, and there are, you know, there's a world-ending cataclysm going on. And it's just these little cuts to what everyone else in the Marvel Universe is doing at the time. They'll look to, you know, Daredevil, you know, saving a small business from looters. They'll look to Doctor Strange using his magic to perform surgery. And it's like, it's one of the things, like, I see that, and I'm like, God damn, why didn't they do that in the movie? Like, that's such a great idea. Why didn't they do that in the movie? The look to, you know, like, the Avengers trying to, like, do that, like, trying to help out as much as they can. I mean, they're not the Avengers yet, because I think in this universe there are no Avengers. Like, I think they're at, like, Black Panther doing his thing, like Captain America and T'Chaka trying to talk the president out of blowing up Asteroid M. And that's the thing, too, is that it's like, they don't sit here and, like, have to earn anything, which is this thing that we've seen a lot of. And I think that, like, we talk about Daredevil, the TV show, being kind of groundbreaking, and it's this idea of him, you know, we see him earn the suit, for lack of a better word, or, like, I don't think that's an accurate way of putting it. I think it's more he just, you know, goes through and gets the suit and becomes his own hero. Like, that's the thing here, where it's like, there is none of that. It's just, they're the X-Men, they're here to save the day, and all that. I wasn't a huge fan of the Phoenix Force making a resurgence. Like, the explanation's fine, where it's like, the Phoenix Force came back because it, you know, because it had to save, you know, our son, but now it's gone again. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess. And just the way Bastion is personified in this is just so well done. The idea of it being like, he is another Magneto, but from a world beyond mutants and humans, like, it's a great idea. Like, he's something beyond them and greater, and that's a cool thing. I still think that what we're looking at is, like, again, I think we're looking at basically the groundwork for what the MCU is going to do when they handle the X-Men. Where it's like, we're looking at, I think that, like, maybe not Bastion, but I do think Mr. Sinister is kind of the beginning, like, overarching villain for the what's it called? For the X-Men. Like, to that end, I think that the, what's it called? The, God, that whole thing is handled so well in this episode. And then the ending being the cliffhanger that it is, where Bishop shows up to Forge, and he's like, yeah, the X-Men are all dead. He's like, you don't really believe that, do you? And him showing up and being like, you have some nerve walking into my house like we're best friends. It's like, we're not friends now, but we will be. It is a great little moment. And this whole thing with the, there's one thing that I want to address, and it would be interesting to know, because okay, let's finish up talking about this, and then we'll talk about the wider MCU implications of this show. I think that the whole part with like the show ending off with half of the X-Men in ancient Egypt and the other half in the far future, 2,000 years in the future, is a really cool place to leave the characters off, especially since both sides are going to be dealing with the same threat. Both sides are dealing with Apocalypse, and we're getting to Age of Apocalypse as the next move. And them seeing, them being in ancient Egypt and looking around and seeing this guy and asking what his name, and he says En Saba Noor, and I was like, oh fuck, like it's not just like, oh fuck, they're doing Apocalypse. It's them looking at him and realizing, oh fuck, that's Apocalypse, because they'd already dealt with Apocalypse once in this show, as from the the episodes that I had read the titles of. They have already dealt with Apocalypse. This is nothing new for the X-Men. He's been a threat before, and the fact that we're looking at this, and this is going to be, they're doing Age of Apocalypse, because I mean, Gambit is presumed dead. But Gambit was one of the Horsemen there, and Apocalypse picked up the playing card. So, what does that mean for us? Like, this is such a great moment for what this show is going to inevitably be. On top of just having an all-around fantastic season to start with. There's one other... What's I'm looking for here? There's one other thing I wanted to talk about with this. What was it? Oh, right. So, I wanted to mention this last episode, but I forgot. There's a point where Cable talks about how he can't stop, he couldn't stop the attack on Genosha. Because no matter how he tried to stop it, he would get pulled away. It was physically impossible for him to stop it no matter what he did. And Beast has a moment where he says, the mystics of Kamar-Taj speak of, I forgot what the term he used was, inflection points or fixed points, something like that. I think fixed points is the word from Doctor Who, from that shitty episode where they kill off Amy and Rory, because it's fucking stupid the way they did that. But we will talk about that on the Doctor Who episode tomorrow morning. I can promise you that, because I was thinking about that this week and it pissed me off more. So we are gonna rant about Amy and Rory's death tomorrow. So get ready for that. Fucking Moffat. Either way, the point I'm trying to make is the whole thing with what's over here with these fixed points that happen, and he says fixed points that happen across all timelines, and it's the same as like the idea of the canon event in Across the Spider-Verse, the idea that there are things that are going to happen in the story of Spider-Man that happen across every timeline. There is the death of a father figure in the form of Uncle Ben, or in the case of Miles, in the case as Prowler. There's the idea of like the death of a police captain that was working closely with Spider-Man. They show in that same thing, they show the Venom, the introduction of symbiote, the death of Gwen Stacy. It's an interesting situation that they put themselves in this, I guess death of a love interest would be the proper term, because Gwen Stacy doesn't die in every universe. It's just the ones where she's in love with Spider-Man, she does, which is what leads to the conundrum. Not the point. So we've seen this idea of fixed points before in Marvel. The question is, how does this rectify with the MCU, which does not have mutants, or Genosha, or anything like that. So if the MCU doesn't have that, then how does it work? And if that's the case, did this attack happen in the past of whatever the universe was in Multiverse of Madness, where the Illuminati was? Was it 1610? Did they call that the Ultimate Universe? No. It was like 8 something. 810 maybe? 814? It was something like that. But either way, the point is, like, 1610 was Ultimate. Not anymore, but Ultimate's destroyed. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, did that universe have this happen too? Like, was there an attack on Genosha that led to that, in that universe? And then, beyond that, are we looking at kind of a synchronization of this animated universe's timeline with the MCU? Now, there's one other thing I want to bring up here. Could this show take place after Secret Wars? Now let's think about that for a second. Could this show take place after Secret Wars? And the issue with this is, what brings this theory to the front is, Secret Wars is going to be the death of the multiverse as we know it. And it's going to, there's going to be a new multiverse after. Because that's what Secret Wars is. Secret Wars is an incursion that destroys several universes, if not all the universes. It is Marvel's answer to Crisis on Infinite Earths. All the universes get destroyed by the Beyonder, or Doctor Doom in 2015, or 2015. Doctor Doom does it, and they are the king of the patchwork battle world. The Avengers and all the other Marvel heroes who are still there come together, kick the shit out of whoever the person in charge is, and then they restore things back to a new universe of what it should be, which allows them to soft reboot the comics. When they do this with the movies and the TV shows, does this create a situation where, if it is the case that there are these... number one, the easiest explanation is Beast is just wrong about this being an inflection point, although the evidence is pretty damning, considering the fact that they can't stop it from happening. So, is there a world in which these animated properties, as we've been seeing them, take place after Secret Wars, with the exception of What If? Could they take place after Secret Wars? That way you can have these rules be in effect. It's just, once the multiverse is reset, there are set rules, and these are going to be the things going forward. So I think that could be an interesting thing, because then an attack on Genosha could be in the MCU's past, and could be something that's influencing the present, quote-unquote, of whatever form the MCU is in 2027 or 2028, when Secret Wars does finally come out, in that world after Secret Wars. It could be, it's an interesting thing that I had the idea of while I was watching the episode, is that would resolve that question. And I think that's where we'll leave off for today. And then we're going to title the episode, Could X-Men 97 take place after Secret Wars? Because I think that should be my theory going into it, which will probably be proven wrong. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.